Welcome one, welcome all to this special Thursday live edition of the 2 Horseman Podcast, your best podcast for pro wrestling talk, news, and the latter all over the world today. And I am here, your host with the most, or your co-host with the most, the bearded one, aka Marlon Beardo, the bearded weirdo, the Stella Rosa Casanova, the creator of culture, the certified crop star, the great wonder, and the man of the hour. And I am here with the pharaoh of Christian Mingle. He is my wise man. He is the best thing going in the industry today. The one, the only, the notorious Big Gerald. What's up, brother? How you doing this afternoon?
Everything, man. Ain't no echoing. We off to a fantastic start. And we're going to talk about how Booker T got one of the greatest voices in announcing history. I don't know if it's just because he gotten older or what. He's like he talked with a forever strain. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, yeah,
That's my
man.
guy. This is great.
Sound like he's been smoking Newport since birth. But we've got a lot to get into, guys. We want to thank you all for checking us out over on the Dumb Marks podcast. We had a great WrestleMania weekend with those gentlemen over there with that special collaboration. So thank you. Thank you. Please tune in to those guys every Saturday at 11, and we will be back over there, and they will be back over here. So we're going to get this thing rolling. Thank you for those who are tuning in over there on YouTube, over there on Twitch, over there on Twitter, over there on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and we'll make sure we get to them. But as I mentioned, we got a ton to get into. So with no further ado, we got to give some grades, just like we're a teacher. WrestleMania 40 has come and gone. WrestleMania 40 has come and gone. 2 nights of adventure, 2 nights of pro wrestling, 2 nights of a lot of activity. Really, it's a whole week when you talk about Hall of Fame, NXT Stand and Deliver. It's a whole week. So, first of all, what do you give the grade? Night 1, night 2, and overall. So, I'll start with you, Big Gerald. What do you give night 1 on a grades A, B, C, D, F? What do you give as a grade?
So night 1, I'm going to give an A. I'm going to get an A to night 1 because of the Jade Cargill debut on WrestleMania, the Rhea Ripley match overall, and then watching R-Truth get him a belt, man, get him a title on WrestleMania. You got to give it an A. You can't give it nothing lower than it.
And they mentioned that this was a new era, and it felt like it. I didn't realize, I saw some clip online and they were talking about WWE in 2019 and how bad it was. And it seems like the Paul Levesque era has erased all that bad taste in my mouth. But there was some really bad stuff going on in WWE where I didn't think it was going to last. And this turnaround that Triple H or Paul Levesque has done with the TKO group and bringing in Rock and really putting into position what the fans really want to see. I agree with you. Night 1, Rhea Ripley, and we'll talk about her later. Fantastic match. She might be the new Miss WrestleMania. Her match with Charlotte Flair a couple years before was one of my favorite matches of the night. She doesn't wrestle often. She doesn't need to because she is really a superstar. But when she does, it comes together well. And so shout out to Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. They put on a phenomenal match. Obviously, the tag team match, that's always going to be good. The ladder match with so many great superstars. Warmed my heart to see 67-year-old R-Truth having his moment. K-Quit, for those who know. Of course, The Miz probably will go down in history as the most underrated yet. When you look at his resume, he's got to be up there in the top 10 just as far as resume. When you think about stars like Roddy Piper that never won the WWE title, he's a 2-time grand champion, a utility player. He could be a heel, he could be a face, he could do whatever. Miz is low-key one of the most valuable guys they have on the roster. And of course, I can't wait to see what Austin Theory and Grayson Waller do over there on SmackDown. And the main event of night one, setting up what would happen in night two with Rock and having a 45-minute match at 55 years old and 400 pounds of muscle. Didn't think he would be able to pull it off. He looked winded. There was a couple times, I think you mentioned on the dumb march where his knee buckled, and I thought he was about to tear the ACL, the MCL, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. How about, so I give it an A as well. How about night two?
So night two is an interesting night, and I'll talk about it. I want to give night two an A minus, but I'm gonna give it a B plus, and here's why. For everything that was supposed to be the culmination of 2 nights, I'm gonna be honest. The Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes match didn't do it for me. I think that it was all in all, had not the Undertaker, The Rock, and John Cena came out and Seth Rollins trying to do the Shield cosplay, that match is nothing to write home about. Even with the bloodline rules, it was your normal, typical match. And now that Cody has the belt, even though you love Cody Rhodes, it's like, now what with the belt? You didn't say that with Roman. Roman didn't show up. It didn't matter because you knew what his matches were going to be when he gave it to you. I think that match was just okay. We could have did without the Philadelphia street fight.
Brought to you by Gin and Juice.
Snoop Dogg was the best thing at night.
If we don't get Snoop is the best commentator on the planet. Because he literally comes in there with genuine shock and surprise. It's still real to him. Snoop, when he did the Olympics, amazing. When he did the pet, I remember he did some Animal Planet commentary. He's like, oh no, cuz the mongoose about to get. Snoop is the best. If we get Snoop and Booker T on commentary, kill me now. Kill me now. Take my money and kill me now, because that is heaven on earth. I want to see it. Oh hell, Snoop.
and not to mention, and I know it wasn't the greatest match, but even the Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match, we knew it was going to be fun filled. Like we said, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre can carry a match, and both of them together was great. But they had to do the selling of the knee, of course. But the cash in by Damian Priest, that was I predicted that.
You did.
And
you absolutely did. Especially from what I'm hearing, he still has not re-signed the contract. And I think we both talked about that. Like, you give him his title win in front of everybody, and then you have Damian Priest there just in case he decides not to sign. I was pretty happy with the cash in. Kind of, for me personally, devalues the world title a little bit. Because I would have loved to see Drew with a heel run as the champion after Seth did so much to actually establish that title with a new lineage. And I think having Damian Priest, especially when Cody Rhodes is still showing up on Raw, kind of overshadows Damian Priest a little bit. But I'm willing to give the Bondage Undertaker an opportunity to impress me. So we'll see how that goes.
That was a good remark from Drew. Bondage Undertaker. That was a very clever remark.
Very clever.
I will say, I'm excited to see where it goes. I will say one of the things that I thought about is why they wouldn't let Drew hold on to it. Drew is great, Of course, Seth is going to shoot a movie right now. Roman's out shooting a movie, so a lot of the top stars are out. Drew, and I hate that Drew's contract signing thing hasn't been finalized yet. But if you leave the belt on Damian now, especially with Rhea out, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Damian Priest, he's a good enough wrestler where he can be intimidating to others, and they'll be like, who could take it off me? And you got Gunther waiting right there in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
Him with the World Heavyweight Championship, when CM Punk and Seth Rollins gets to come back, that's a triple threat match I'd love to see at SummerSlam.
It's so many things that we can do with the world title, and I really want to see where we end up with the draft. I have a sneaking suspicion that Gunther's going to end over on SmackDown, and eventually that Mr. America of Cody Rhodes versus the big Austrian bad guy of Gunther, too old school wrestler. That's a main event match, and I am perfectly fine with Cody dropping the belt. You finished the story. So I think we're more likely to see Gunther over there on SmackDown, but we'll see as we still have a couple of weeks to the draft. But yeah, absolutely. Night 2, I give WrestleMania Night 2 a B. Overall, I give it a B plus. It was still really good, really great to set up a new era. Very interesting title changes, and it also set up. We also predicted Jade and Bianca would be a tag team. It set that up nicely. So I am very, very excited for what's going on forward in the Paul Levesque era, and WrestleMania 40 was a great way to start that up. But moving on, we're talking about wrestling around the world. And when we say wrestling around the world, that usually refers to specifically to AEW, but this kind of mixes both worlds. So Jon Moxley, congratulations, the former Dean Ambrose. You got to have a member in the Shield with a world title. It's law. And if Roman and Seth, they got one, then damn it, Jon Moxley is going to get one. He won the New Japan World title. Congratulations, one of the most prestigious titles in pro wrestling. Do you think he elevates the title? Do you think he does a stint over in New Japan? He's already appeared on AEW. What do you think this means for Jon Moxley? He had some comments in the interview where he said he still thinks he's going to be underrated and disrespected, even winning the world title. He's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only wrestler to have the AEW, WWE, and New Japan world title, if I'm not mistaken. But what do you think? Does he elevate the title, or is it just another notch on his belt that really means nothing at the end of the day?
It's B. And no offense to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is a phenomenal wrestler. He's a great wrestling personality. But with New Japan losing a lot of their top talent, they need someone with some cachet to hold on to the belt while they renew. So it's not that he would elevate it any. I just think right now he's the perfect person to come in and hold it. They couldn't put it on nobody else. Ospreay's off on AEW, getting ready for a barn burner match with Daniel Bryan, and I don't know what they're doing with the Switchblade, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, he's holding on to the title. He can give you some great matches because it's Jon Moxley. He's a great personality. He's a great placeholder so they get their people in place, and then he can drop the belt and go on back to AEW. It's nothing too flashy. It's just someone to hold on to it to still keep it relevant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And once again, no disrespect to Jon Moxley, it might be the booking over there in AEW. I think maybe he has a little too much freedom. He kind of reminds me of Bray Wyatt, where you need someone to reel him in a little bit. And I would have loved to see that for like 2 seconds when the Shield music came on WrestleMania 40. I was like, oh shit, it's Jon Moxley? And I knew he had just signed a 5-year deal, but I'm like, maybe they pulled a deal or something. I think he's a steady hand. Once again, one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. He's not necessarily my cup of tea because he bleeds too much. Like, he is going to bleed in every single match. And to me, that devalues blood. But for New Japan, he's hard hitting. He's all about that strong style. He respects New Japan. I think he's perfect to hold the belt while they retool and get some new faces and new blood. But I agree. I don't think he elevates the title any. I think he keeps it above water and he holds that place until we get someone over in New Japan that can hold it on a more full-time basis. That's all I got to say about that. Now, still in AEW, still world title. Man, I wish I had the clip for you, but it wasn't cleared. But Swerve and Samoa Joe are making some magic over there at AEW right now. I'm very interested in this match. I almost feel like it's another Cody Rhodes situation where if he doesn't go over, we riot. But what's your opinion? Does Swerve go over Samoa Joe? Or because I've been enjoying Samoa Joe's reign as well. It's tough. If this was MJF, I'd be like, yeah, Swerve, get it. But I really do love Samoa Joe. But is it Swerve's time? Is it Swerve's house right now?
Yeah, it's Swerve's house. Because when we talked about it before, I said the same thing. And here's something that everybody needs to remember: Samoa Joe, as a wrestler, doesn't need the belt. Giving Swerve his first major title and letting him, get his story arc across AEW will be wonderful, not only for him, but for AEW in general, who at this time isn't putting the best things out creative. Other than Will Ospreay, ain't really nothing to write home about when it comes to AEW, which we'll talk about him in a minute. But Swerve winning the title has to happen. Think about it. Samoa Joe loses the title. Do you throw Samoa Joe to the back burner? Absolutely not, because he's one of those personalities, one of those people. He's bigger. He's bigger than the ring, if that makes sense. Like, you could put him on commentary. He could come out there and cut a promo as to why he needs the belt back. That's a great revenge tour. So Joe doesn't necessarily need the belt, but you feel like Swerve does in this instance. He's done all this stuff. The move he did Wednesday night, as you said, was out of this world athleticism. It's his time, and it gives Tony Khan something else to put forth. Show the world what WWE kind of lost out on, the fact that they had him and could have pushed him to the moon instead of doing the same song and dance with Hit Row. But that's another story.
So funny you say song and dance. That's definitely that was the man who shall not be named thing. If you were a wrestler of color, you better shuck and jive, you better tap dance, you better have some jig, some funk to you, or you just weren't getting over. So seeing him just be a wrestler and not necessarily being a gimmick, and just really, really showing that this guy is one of the top, in my opinion, top three in the industry right now. I'm very happy to see it, and I agree. Swerve needs this. Samoa Joe doesn't. Samoa Joe reminds me very much of CM Punk, like you said, where he's a five-tool player. If we were talking baseball, he can do everything. You need him as a commentator, you need him as a manager, you need him as a heel, you need him as a face, you need him as a badass, you need him as world champ. He can do it all. And maybe if he does lose it, there's a whole New Japan world title that's firmly rested at AEW. I wouldn't mind a John Moxley versus Samoa Joe match. Have they fought each other since they've been in AEW?
I'm not 100%. I don't think so. But here's another thing to think about. He has the contract with AEW right now, but he is a Paul Levesque guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new era, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I don't know how many years he has left contract, but to see him come out and choke Cody out, I'd take my money, or anybody out, take that money. And he still never got his WrestleMania moment, so I wouldn't be surprised when it's all said and done if he doesn't show up in WWE to have one final run. I'm here for it all day and 3 times on Sunday. So now we move on to our next topic. Has Cody Rhodes grown stale already? It's been 3 shows, if I'm not mistaken, since WrestleMania, and I've heard the same 3 promos 3 times over. I went from undeniable to undesired to undeniable to now undisputed. Throw him in a tag match or something. I'm already missing Roman Reigns. And it kind of shows that maybe absence does indeed make the heart grow fonder. I don't know why he's been on Raw and SmackDown. It's given a bit much. Has this title run already grown stale? And is he better doing the chase versus actually being the champion?
So it begs the question. Now that the story's finished, what's next? Who's next? And no, I'm not calling him back. Let him be done. So the thing with Cody Rhodes is he's great to cheer for, but now he is the champion and ain't nothing to cheer for. And I'm just guessing here, but I don't think creative knows what to do with Cody as well. Do you know this last house show they just did? He had his first world title defense, not on TV, against Shinsuke Nakamura. We've already seen that movie.
17
He's beaten
times,
Shinsuke how many times?
at least 103.
So we don't have to see. I'm glad it was on the house show, and I hope they don't bring it to TV because there's no reason for him to be fighting Shinsuke Nakamura when there's so many giving people. Why wait till the draft to move Gunther? If you don't got nobody for Cody, there's a perfect David and Goliath story right there. I believe Cody's story was excellent. He got the belt. He made his dad proud. I think we all feel good. Would I be mad if they used Cody Rhodes as a transitional champion? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and the story was to get the title. It's not necessarily keep it. And I like how The Rock threw that caveat that with or without the title, I'm coming for you. That particular match doesn't necessarily need the belt, especially with The Rock having his own people's belt. He could fight for that if they wanted to. I'm glad he got to finish the story because God, I didn't want to hear the Cody crybabies cry anymore. Roman definitely needs a break. Seth needs a break. Becky needs a break. The people that are off TV right now all deserve a break. But yeah, I don't feel we are really going to get a full grasp of the Paul Levesque era until the draft because right now we don't have people in place where we need them to be so he can really tell the stories. And that's the one thing when there's a draft, it's always a weird holding pattern between WrestleMania and the draft where nothing really sticks. It's probably my least favorite time of the WWE. But so far, I need something more of Cody. Maybe a little bit more attitude. I know he's supposed to be the top baby face and, shaking babies and kissing hands. No, that's wrong. Kissing hands and shaking babies. No, that's wrong. Shaking hands and kissing babies. I know that's his persona, but to me, it's already getting stale. I don't know what I need from him. Dark Cody, maybe get Arn Anderson to talk about his Glock 9 come in. I don't know, but so far it's stale. I still have faith in Paul Levesque, but if we don't get something soon, I'm giving it until this SmackDown. If we don't get something till SmackDown, it's already going to be a thumbs down on the reign for me because it just hasn't been impressive.
So with the injuries that they've had, because they got a lot of high profile people out injured right now, and a lot of people going through contract negotiations. Because not only we're hoping what's going to happen with Drew, Becky Lynch still hasn't resigned yet. So with all these things up in the air, they're trying to put out a product for it that seems good, but ever since WrestleMania has come and gone. Maybe the hottest show right now may be NXT, and that's a lot to say out loud, but it's like you said, these shows are kind of like holdovers until the draft comes.
Right. And even with NXT, we know there's going to be a lot of people from NXT removed. We saw Carmelo lose this past Tuesday. He's good as gone. I can see him on SmackDown very soon. Alec Dragunov, he's going to be dropping that title to Trick. He's good as gone. As far as the ladies are concerned, and they have a very impressive deep women's roster, I don't see too many ladies because they've already called up Tiffany Stratton, but definitely those two guys I feel are gone come draft time.
No, that's why you're the bearded one. So it's just Dragunov, and it's just Carmelo Hayes, and then not 100%, but I believe the family may be going up. And not even their female character / manager is going up with them. Roxanne Perez may be the only other star from NXT that may come up, but I don't. they're high on a few wrestlers, and I know one of the guys that's in NXT, Shawn Michaels and Paul Levesque really high on him. Uh, Dijak,
Yes,
they
yes.
really like that. So he may be another one that comes up. But so from what I've been hearing, I know they're going to be moving a lot of talents from the main rosters to go to NXT as well. They're trying to make the brand feel like an actual third brand and a developmental brand, which is why you saw the Final Testament on NXT the other night. They may be one of the acts that may be going down. The other group with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, they may be moving up as well.
Yeah, and Corbin got recharged. We see Braun Breaker moving the ring on those. He's been in some of those WWE Fast, those 3-minute matches that have limits, and that's perfect for someone like him. I hope they just don't make him the new Goldberg, because he can really wrestle, and I could see them kind of doing that with these quick matches. But he definitely has a bright future. But I would love to see the Wolf Dogs reunited and take on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller over there on SmackDown with those two clowns. Oh, that would be entertaining. The promos, the interaction, Baron Corbin being the wise one out the bunch is hilarious to me. So I would be excited for that. But yeah, back to Cody Rhodes. It's getting a little stale, but hopefully we'll see something Friday. Now, I have a question for you. Who's going to win this women's world title? And for those who don't know, I knew Rhea was hit when I saw that chair fly at her head. I don't know who cleared that spot for them to just throw the chair at 160 miles an hour, but apparently it was a concussion. Apparently when Liv threw her into the wall, she messed up her AC joint in her shoulder, and it's going to miss about 3 months. Had her vacate the title, and I think they successfully pulled a double turn where they've turned Liv heel and Rhea as the face in this. You saw real emotion when she went backstage and had to, tell her Judgment Day boys that she's going to be gone for a while. But who do you think comes out as the world title? I love how I spelled world there. But who do you think wins the world title with it being vacated at this point?
I think right now, because of the story and with it happening and them making it seem like Liv just done it, they'll put the belt on her. Like you said, they'll turn her, make it seem like a badass, like she's going after everybody that did her wrong last year. And so they'll put the belt on her just in anticipation of Rhea coming back. Because again, with as hot as Rhea Ripley is now, they're not gonna have her without the belt long. My heart is telling me put the belt on Jade, but I'm like, stop! It's too soon.
It's
Don't
far
do
too
that to
soon.
yourself.
No, it's
Jade
far
said
too
she want to
soon.
win. She wants to win gold, and she go for the tag team belt. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to do that. I want her to stay out of that tag team world
Cursed
championship,
division.
because no matter who gets it, it still sucks.
It's a good way to cover up it while she's working, and what better mentor to have on her. Although I think is Jade older? No, Bianca's 35, Jade's 31. So, what a great mentor, because that's one thing you could, some people say Bianca is, a little stale. She's too much of a baby face. But what you can't say is that she can't go, because that would be a bald-faced lie. When it comes to the square circle, she does her thing. Do I expect Jade to ever get to that level of Bianca in the ring? No, but she doesn't have to, because she's 6'10", a stack house. She looks like a Marvel comic in real life. All she needs to do is really just work on her timing and her ring psychology, and I trust with the people around her, she'll learn that up. So I think they'll be the tag champs very soon. Lengthy reign with one of them turning on each other, and I'm hoping it's Bianca that turns, because I miss when she was a bad guy in NXT. I would love for that to happen again. But either way, I see that as their future. But I agree with you. I'm really not a big fan of these women's world titles. It just seems like it's a curse waiting to happen, and you become an afterthought. Like no one's cared about Asuka and Kairi Sane, and those are two of the best wrestlers on the planet. And I didn't say female wrestlers; I said wrestlers on the planet, male or female, and they become somewhat of an afterthought by those cursed belts. So give them back to Chelsea and Piper when it's all said and done. Let them do their thing. But kind of excited to see what's coming out for those two young ladies, those two Nubian queens, if you will.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the world title. Uncle Howdy, we've been seeing the little clips, very similar. And I don't know how I feel about this, but everything's there. Alexa Bliss should be about cleared to return because she had that baby a while ago, so she should be ready to go. Braun Strowman has been out enough where he should be cleared. I understand that Eric Rowan has stopped his independent because they said he's been signed possibly by the WWE. And then we have Matt Hardy, who just left AEW and has been posting some cryptic messages with that clip and pictures of him at AEW before Bray unfortunately passed away prematurely. Rest in peace to Wyndham. There were rumors of a Wyatt Six faction. So that's 5 people right there, and then you have the lamp representing Bray as the spirit of Bray Wyatt. Do you want to see Uncle Howdy return to finish this story and give us a little bit more of Bray, or should we just leave that be? And if Bo Dallas comes back, just let him be Bo Dallas, or even his real name, Taylor Rotunda. What do you think about this potential return of this character?
I think you can allow him to do the Uncle Howdy and bring that stuff forth if all of the pieces that you spoke about are into place. So I'll explain. Bo Dallas, even before everybody knew he was Bray Wyatt's little brother, was a great wrestler in his own right. But when he got moved to the main roster, he got put in a tag team, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just is what it is. Him getting to work with his brother before he passed, I think, was a great thing. I know the match that they used him in was hit or miss for everybody pretty much. But with Bray passing, what a way to give him a tribute, a send off, and to allow his brother to kind of finish the vision, like you say. And then it's not something that they would have to do, for a long time. But affection like that comes along, and hey, they start going after the Judgment Day or the LWO, because there's not really too many other gimmicks that they could go after. But I just think that allowing him to get that out of the system, letting the merch, if they use some of the merch sales, go towards Wyndham's family, the kids and his wife. I think that'll be a great look for WWE. And then, like you said, allow everybody to kind of go off into the sunset. Because again, it almost feel like you didn't have time to grieve his passing, because as soon as he passed, everything was going on. And then we got the Vince McMahon stuff and all. Oh, goodness, I said the name. Sorry. All these things going on. I believe that you give this to everyone, kind of let everybody say their goodbyes, and then you can put it to rest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was very curious of where Bray was going for the story because I was one of the most excited when he returned. I feel to this day most wasted potential, not because of Bray, but because of the man who will not be named, his terrible leadership. I think if Triple H was in charge right now, obviously, we couldn't say Bray would still be alive, but he would have had an even more legendary career. I mean, 3 world championships, if I'm not mistaken, it's nothing to spit at. Multiple WrestleManias, not the most stellar record at WrestleMania, but more importantly, some characters that will go on for Infinity and beyond, as far as The Fiend, amazing. The Swamp Bray Wyatt, amazing. I even like them with the leaders of the world with Bray. And one of the biggest moments to me that just showed the potential of Bray was when him and Roman teamed up together. Do you remember that match? And he points and Roman hits the spear, and it was so dope seeing these lifelong enemies that I thought would be fighting forever, kind of like the Batman and the Joker coming together. It was super dope. I don't know how much. What I don't want it to be is a poor ripoff, even though it's his brother, and obviously the story was together. But it seems like if anybody have watched the documentary, it seems like they had plans. They know where they were going. They even showed the updated new Fiend costume. Would you like to see Uncle Howdy or Bo put on that Fiend costume and be the new Fiend? Is that something that you be interested to see it, or just let it be?
Let it be, do the faction. Let Matt Hardy be the mouthpiece of the group. Yeah, that would allow him to be Uncle Howdy. And if you're looking for another member, I have someone that Bray Wyatt had history with that he fought, and that story was amazing in itself. And right now, after the triple threat match with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, Randy Orton and the Wyatt Family 6 would make sense.
I could work with that. I could work with that. Also, another person, you have your Rowan, you have your Matt Hardy as your mouthpiece, Alexa representing the women. You have Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy as the leader, and who am I missing?
Braun Strowman and
Braun,
what's the other young man's name? Eric Rowan.
Aaron Owen, and Braun Strowman, two of the original Wyatt family. You have those five. That's super dope. But I wouldn't mind if you're looking some new blood. That young man over there in NXT,
Joe Casey.
Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy. I wouldn't mind tossing him in as well if you're going to do a six. And if you're going to call him up, he has a little bit of Bray in him. Just a little bit. So I don't know about that, but if I'm booking, if you give me the pencil, if I'm the booker, that's where I'm going with that. Yeah. So Uncle Howdy, we should be seeing this debut pretty soon. They've done all the hints. We've seen a lot of clips, and even at the end of that documentary with the light coming on, we knew it was coming, and I'm interested to see what they do with that, because like you said, we really didn't have enough time. He literally died the same day Terry Funk died. So it's like an even bigger icon pass, and it's a shame that it kind of got overshadowed because he really meant a lot to a lot of people. And after I watched the documentary, I'm not ashamed to say I shed a tear, because he seemed like he was a really, really great person behind the scene and well loved by everybody. So if it helps JoJo and the kids and his other two kids with his first wife have financial security, merch money goes to them, and we can see them in the video game, I'm 100% for it. And it's not enough factions, so I'm all for the factions. It's not like AEW where everybody's in a faction. WWE doesn't have enough factions, so I'm here for it. And most importantly, the main event of tonight's topics: what's next for the Bloodline? We saw Tongan, not Samoan, Tama Tongan, son of Haku, kick Jimmy out again. Damn, Jimmy, you've been kicked out so much, but there was a lot in that segment. Solo possibly taking charge. Paul Heyman looking completely. Let me tell you, we do not give enough flowers to Paul Heyman. His facials alone, looking confused. The phone being snatched away. Tama Tonga debuting and kicking Jimmy out of the Bloodline. Jacob Fatu potentially being signed. Zilla Fatu out there. The Rock still out there. There's a lot of ways that they can go. And Triple H said it himself that this is just the beginning for Roman's story. What do you think is next from the Bloodline from what we've seen?
I think right now WWE is going to throw a lot of the signings and see how well Solo does as the potential leader on his own. If Paul Heyman can't give him the help like he did Roman, and he kind of struggles, then they'll wait for Roman to finish shooting this movie, which they've already showed pictures of him in the movie. He looks great. They'll try to see if they can get him back quicker. I think this is going to culminate maybe till January of next year. Give everybody time. There's a lot of players when it comes to this bloodline thing. Um, you really don't know what to do with Jimmy at this point. But Jay, his main event, Jay Uso, he did a fantastic job. But if he don't challenge Sammy for the belt, his window as a solo competitor is closing.
Yeah.
So it also give him something to do. I think the new hires, Tama Tongan and the other Fatu's coming. I think that'll be great. You want to see it do kind of like Bullet Club, let it be two of them and then clash together and see which one is the best. I think that'll be something to build towards. It depends on who they let produce these segments, and whether it be Paul Heyman or Jason Jordan, who everybody's been talking about, has been killing it as a producer, and see where they go with the story arc from here.
Yeah, there's so many ways. When I saw, I had already was aware that Tama Tonga had signed, but I was like, nah, they're not gonna put him in the bloodline. He's Tonga, not Samoan. He's not really related to them. Doesn't make sense. I could see him over maybe even joining the Judgment Day because he has history with Finn Balor over there with Bullet Club. That's where I was thinking. That's where my mind was going. Judgment Day seems. I was thinking he was going to end up getting JD Madonna kicked out of Bullet Club and having more of a series. But I'm sorry, not Bullet Club. Judgment Day. Seems like Judgment Day is about to turn face. I even saw where Dominic and JD was stomping out, and like Damian Priest kind of was looking at it like, I don't necessarily want to do this, but I'm excited. I'm thinking Civil War with the Rock's bloodline versus Roman's bloodline, and Paul Heyman kind of a wise man on the pole match, maybe. Like he doesn't know where to go. Obviously, he plays a coward on TV, as he said, so he doesn't want to get beat by Solo. But for me, Solo doesn't really have the charisma and aura of like Roman Reigns. Like, number one, he's the smallest out of all of them, like height wise. So he looks more like Taz than like anything. Like he's not really, to me, that intimidating. Jacob Fatu is far more intimidating when you just look at him than anything. So if anybody was going to be the new leader, I thought he potentially would come in. But I definitely feel with the draft coming up, I have a sneaking suspicion that Jimmy may end up getting drafted to Raw, and that leads to an awkward reunion between Jimmy and Jay, but I don't want to see them put back in a tag team. So I don't really know where to go. I don't even know if WWE knows where to go exactly with this. I'm definitely here for the ride, but without the final boss and without Roman, the bloodline they just don't scare me. Like I'll take the pride if that's what they are any day. Bobby Lashley looks like he'll crack Tama Tonga and Solo's head together like Three Stooges, and that'll be that. So I don't know where they're going with that. I'm definitely interested to see. But if we see Jacob Fatu debut this weekend or Friday on SmackDown, I'm going to need them to wreck shop. I need them to I know Cody's going to be there. I need them to make Cody bleed. I need them to really be taken seriously. They need to wreck some shop. So I think that's why they kind of moved the Final Testament over to NXT, because you don't really want to have a bunch of powerhouse factions on one show. But I'm not quite sure. And it's rare that I don't know where they're going with something. But this is one of those times where I'm really not sure where we end up.
Okay.
Pardon me. Damn, I burped all in the mic. Excuse me. I was like, hope they didn't hear that, but I'm certain they did. But yeah, I don't know. What would you want? Like, if you're the booker, they're saying Big Gerald, you're the booker here. What would be your ideal resolution for this bloodline storyline?
Give Roman keep Roman with his savior complex. This new faction of the bloodline, all they do this whole time is attack Jimmy and Jay. They still don't want to get back together as a tag team, but they stick up for each other going at this new bloodline. You see the other Fatu brother get signed, come in, and maybe there's a blow off match at SummerSlam, and you think that he's gonna help Jimmy and Jay get over, and they side with Solo, and they get strong, and they don't need Paul Heyman, so they kind of push him out the way because he's still loyal to Roman. Jimmy and Jay, they kind of stick with the wise man, and then when it come down to it, Roman comes back next year. Like I said, during the Royal Rumble, they have a match. Roman comes out, and then you start the actual bloodline arc going for WrestleMania. The new bloodline versus the old one. I think that's how you make it make sense. You put everybody else over because beating up on Jimmy and Jay brings them back together. Everybody will cheer for that and go from there. And it kills the Yeet movement. I'm sick of it. Sorry. I know
Yeah,
it's personal. I've been saying it. I'm sick of it.
No, I agree with you. That Yeet movement is a little Mr. Bojangles to me. It's certain things that just like there's some ancestor spirit in my heart, and it's like, nah, we can't let that happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but I'm with you. I agree. I do predict a bloodline civil war with ultimately Rock, Jacob Fatu, Solo, and Tamatongo on one side, and the Roman, Jimmy and Jay, and I guess we're missing somebody. Maybe Zilla Fatu or something on one side, and that could be Survivor Series. What's that? November of this year. I could see them having a little Survivor Series. Maybe bring Sammy back in the back in the fact when he eventually loses the title to Sheamus. I think that's his future after this feud with Chad Gable. Speaking of Sheamus, I know we didn't have one to go. What did you think? There's been some mean people on the internet. They didn't made that man look like all he's been doing is going to buffets since he's been out in August, man. What did you think about his return to Raw this past Monday?
I'm glad he came back. I've always liked Sheamus as a wrestler. I think they went with his old gimmick because now Butch is back to being Pete Dunne. He got his own thing going on. Ridge Holland, I think he's gonna end up down in NXT. So him coming out, he did look a little frumpy, but I like Sheamus.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And Sheamus said that he got called back early. He wasn't supposed to be back for like another month. So you can tell a lot of, you were a football player. A lot of there's bulk, dirty bulk, and then they'll cut later to get shredded. And I think they got him right in the bulk zone. They're like, we need you Wednesday. He's like, oh, shit. Oops. Because his tights looked a little snug. I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah. He been there wearing catering out.
He was out there double fisting ham sandwiches for sure. But he was like, you're going to eat that fella. But I'm excited for Sheamus. I'm glad to have him back. And I'm interested to see what goes on with his obvious Intercontinental title run. And I would be happy for him to get that Grand Slam championship that he's been searching for these last 15 years or so that he's been in the WWE. And it'll be a good final run for him. But yeah, man, I agree with you. Bloodline Civil War looks like it's going to be where it's at. Yes, sir. But that's it, man. Damn, we gave y'all the hot shit in less than an hour. We like dominoes. We gave y'all all that info. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in there over there on Facebook. I see you over there on YouTube. I see you over there on Twitch. I see you over there on X. I keep wanting to say Twitter. It's always mama name of Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter, but over there on X. We see y'all. We are going to be back with more wrestling content for you guys like we always do every Thursday. I'm gonna try to get your favorite wrestling fan, Kyle Jones, back on another episode to give you some of that post WrestleMania what the fuck, like he always does. But I'm so happy we figured out, for any of those who saw our audio, we figured out our audio issues. So we back, baby. We back to 100%. We thank y'all for sticking through it while we were figuring that out. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. But we have to end the show, and we only end it one damn way. And I need my wise man to do the honors, if you could.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
What did I say? Sherry, what did I say? We coming for you,
Stevie
nigga.
Ray face may have been the best face. He was,
can you imagine that? You on a job interview? So I'm coming for this, nigga. How? Booker T, we're inviting you on the show. I will invite you every episode until you come. It's no disrespect. It's the best moment in pro wrestling history.
yes.
Please give it. I look at your podcast, Booker T. Come on, give us 5 minutes of your time. We just want to know how that felt when that came out of your mouth.
That'd be wonderful, man.
That would be wonderful. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make it happen. But for my wise man, Big Gerald, for the bearded one, Marlon Beardo, the bearded weirdo, we thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Two Horseman Podcast. Enjoy your pro wrestling, and we'll be back in one business week. Deuces, coming for you, nigga.